All right, raise your hands if you've got any questions for these two, please. Yes, Mabi.
Hi, Dobble. Good evening. Just well done on the victory. For Suleiman as well, just a word on him. Today was man of the match. On his 50th, 21 years old, just outstanding performance from him. And aside, I mean, I know it's a different team and all playing against players, but good momentum, at least winning momentum into the playoffs.
So I think it's the most important thing right now. This guy was special. Gaza, it's incredible. Gaza last week got his 100th, and this guy, I think he did 50 on 21, and then to play like he played. We're super proud. Look, he's got a mass. He's super. He's right next to me. No, you're brilliant.
Stephen.
Dobbo, obviously Gaza has a potential disaster. I mean, he was absolutely, at his best today at fullback until he went. So, what's your thought on, firstly, the decision, and obviously the implications of this? I would imagine you would mount a strong defence.
Yeah, well, mount our best defence. Look, I haven't seen it, enough to comment on what the impact of Zassi's tackle is, if you know what I mean. So I don't know. Maybe you guys have seen it better, but I don't know if it's enough. It was our fault. We didn't. Gaza wasn't released from the inside by you're dead right, James, by Zassi, and then he was stuck, and he turned. So I don't think he was trying to hit with the shoulder. He was trying to turn it, but it's the implications are particularly. I'm sure are going to be poor for us. I've got no doubt.
Can you appeal on that, Dobbo?
Well, we can't appeal until there's actually this decision. We can decide if we're going to wait for them to give us a ruling, or do we go straight to a judicial officer. I think if we go straight to judicial officer, we've got more chance of a better sort of sanction, but there'll be a sanction. I don't see them overturning that unless Zassi's clearly caused the height to come down, which sounds like it's grey. I mean, I haven't seen it really. It sounds like it's a joke. Is it grey? Yeah. It's a disaster for us.
Firstly, Suleiman, well done. Boykie from Bishops, Varsity Cup. You led the stage when you came on. But just for you, the transition into senior rugby now, just how's that been? Because sometimes guys peak at school and you think, listen here, they're going to make it, and then nothing happens. But just from you, because you're turning it on week in, week off, when you are off via injury and you come back, you just keep on going. So just from your perspective, you make it look easy out there.
Thank you. I appreciate the compliment. I think credit goes to the team and the coaches, ultimately. I think for me, in my first year, it was more about finding my feet and getting used to the system and understanding what do they want from me. And I think, obviously, as the years went on now, I think I found myself a bit more and understood what's expected from me, from the coaches and from the team. And for me, it's just to ultimately perform in my role and wherever I play, to just perform at the best. And I think that kind of helped me. Having guys like Damien Valens, Dan Doop as well, makes the job easy. And also like Sasha as well and Mani Lapuk, they make my job easier, and we're all on the same page. So, yeah.
Dobbo, just in terms of your conversion 22-meter entries, there was a time in the game when there was about 8 entries, 4 tries. So you guys are getting there, the transition is good. But just in terms of your conversion there, because with Cardiff, they had about 75% when they get there, they score. So just that, because I remember there was a time we struggled to get into the 22 because of penalties, etc. So just for playoffs coming up, just what's your thoughts on that?
No, it gets better time. We're on 45% opinion points when we were in 10, which I thought was really good, because it had been an issue before. Last week it dropped down to about 30, and I think this week I agree with you, it'll be very low. I know it's even the pick and go stuff we got stripped, the scrum, it was really poor. We left a lot of not tries out there because we didn't convert those entries definitely.
Just lastly for me, obviously this week Cornel Hendricks, sad news. Just in terms of like the rugby player for him, the journey, and obviously you guys watching him, he was potentially coming this side. But just the life story. I know for you always, it's about the person, the human. Just looking at it from this perspective, just from your side, and what is meant to the game, giving hope to people, showing that, listen here, I mean, he was from Bergrivier High School,
Yeah.
and look what happened to him, how he's made it in rugby. So maybe just on your perspective, seeing that we celebrated him today and obviously his life, but just in terms of rugby, what he's done for the sport.
Yeah, look, I don't want to be pious and claim to be, I didn't know him. Obviously his story is remarkable. I think the Bulls, in trusting him, allowing him back on the field was fantastic, because we didn't, and there's obviously guys are very scared, but I think, JP, to your point, he was the best competitor on the field. I mean,
Sure.
of these guys, he was arrived in our faces,
Wow.
everything,
Yeah.
and the first guy to give a hug afterwards, he was extraordinary like that. I mean, he was like the arch bull, and in our faces, we wanted to, it was a real classic rivalry. And then they say afterwards, the guys loved him down there at Pompies. And I think what he did for the community, with his foundation, extraordinary. I mean, so I don't want to say pious like he's a friend. I didn't know him, but what a great rugby to give back to the community like that, and the story, and still give back to Boerland. So I don't want to speak for Sego, but as a great rival. But as I said, in our change room afterwards, and that's what rugby's about. And I know what he did for the kids, as you say, of Wellington and over there.
Ashwak, this game was actually quite tricky, I thought, and the way you guys pulled it through, actually quite commendable, because already in the quarterfinals, the mindset may not have been as hungry as if a playoff place had been, available if you had to win. So, in terms of the guys fighting spirit pulling through before playoff, must take a lot out of that actually. Going into a quarterfinal where it wasn't perfect, you've got a lot of work on. We spoke now about the conversion rate. It's actually almost sort of an ideal kind of game in a way.
Yeah, it was. Other than the red card, I thought, I was worried, did we lack intense because of those breakdowns? But then I think, but there were some tough calls there. So it was, no injuries. David is a disaster, but no injuries, brilliant. And we can't wish it away in rugby. They had to win to stay alive. Probably witness the fact they're not here. And then we were, once we'd scored the 4 tries, we were in 5th, probably. So it was tricky from that side. And I think, to be fair to us, as good as they were, and I give them credit, they fought, they were organised, they never went away. I don't think we ever looked like losing, and that's a good performance given the changes and what was at stake.
And just when you're going to move that man back to 13.
Are you scratching a sore?
It should be the Springbok 13.
Yeah? You can play for South Africa at wing or centre. He's going to.
Stephen.
Robbo, just the pluckiness that Cardiff had, in a way that it challenged you guys maybe in the right way before the playoffs.
Yeah. I think the way they don't get, and there were 40 minutes of the difference in man, more or less. I think the contestable game, that's a playoff thing that we, I think their attack shape isn't silly off 10. It's really some tricky stuff. We're actually nice that we've played 4 teams with really good attacks over the last 4 weeks. Bizarrely, the Dragons' attack is clever as well. So they did test us, like it's a good playoff test. I think where we got a little bit frustrated with scrums, I think we lost the penalty battle and we were clearly a far superior scrum. Not saying the decisions were wrong, but if you're clever, they don't take a hit. So,
Marnie was superb.
Marnie's lucky to have him back. Now we've battled.
But just in terms of their attack in the 22, their transition play there, it caught you guys out a couple of times, maybe something to look at, because sometimes obviously there's guys in the backfield and you're nice and relaxed because you're 80 meters out. But I mean, there once or twice they almost went all the way.
Yeah, and also that I think their first try, they had 14 men. They put that fade, that cross kick in. I mean, there was open. Yes, another clever. We have to sharpen up on that a bit.
Double, what do you do with Mani going forward now? Because you got Session now. I want to ask you specifically because playoff mode is different now. Mani's played superbly tonight, But do you play him at 10 and Shasha 12 and Damon maybe out now, Warren goes back to
I think
15?
that
What
goes,
is
that goes all into the coaches' meetings. I think it's too-
Sorry, it's a really tough.
I'm not going to announce the team now.
The day before the quarterfinal one.
No, but doesn't the fact that Gaza's possibly not going to be there actually make it?
Well, if we talk
I'm not
about-
going to say easier, but actually, because it's sort of almost that is the 10 and 12.
Yeah, if we talk about the big four sort of game player, the first. Yeah, we rested Warwick this week as the first time I go. Wasn't they available last week? No, Money wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we're expected down to 3 again.
But I mean, at least it's not timely that Money's back, because you have an option now. I mean, you would have been in a big hole if he wasn't there.
Very much so, yeah.
You haven't had to deal with that too many cooks spoil the broth.
No, not once.
Thing, but
Well, I suppose
now
this week.
it would be for the quarterfinal.
Sorry?
I say now you would have that conversation for the quarterfinal.
Yeah, but no, yeah, I think just to Petey's point, it's who we're going to play at 10. That's probably the conversation we're going to have.
Yeah.
Listen, Koopman.
Thank you, Michael. Tobo, if you look back at the season, you guys went the route of what did you call it? The
Grootpad, yeah.
You went the same route this season. Looking at where you can possibly go, do you feel this season? I know touring hasn't gone too bad, but you had some proper games that hardened the guys. Do you feel that you are battle hardened, battle ready to go wherever you need to go?
Yeah, we're absolutely proud. We could, yeah. We've done really well with the extras, the guy, because obviously with Brocky and, to have Vernon, to have Neerklink back now, he got through, Sazi's fit. It was obviously tight, it was a flashpoint. JD Schickling's back now, played 80 minutes after not playing. So, the loose forwards are well proud, Paul's there, obviously. So, I think we've done well to get away from the injuries of, the whole lot of us every week, Casey, France, BJ. We were playing a nice style of rugby. There were some flaws today, like JD's right about the conversion rate. I thought our carries off 9 by the forwards. Didn't get fast enough ball there. Put our attack under pressure. Didn't mean in the first half. We went across that 22 the whole time. We were meant to be tipping. So, but no, the whole thing today was to keep our momentum, to protect some players, to say goodbye to the guys who won't play down the home game. I think we got all that right because there's no tick into our belief or anything now,
And just how many whiskers of brand is you're going to kill till tomorrow night at 11 until that game is done?
Yeah, I was absolutely equivocal that we wanted to go to Durban, and now we quite relaxed there. I think this team will play.
Yeah, I think we as long as we up for it and we're ready for whoever comes, we're ready to go. Like whether it's Scottsdale or Durban, it doesn't matter. We will prep for it and go.
Nice. Kieran.
Suleiman, congrats on the win and the performance. 50 up now. Are you able to pick out your favourite moment in a Stormers jersey, or has it not happened yet?
There's been so many. I think for me the first 2 years it was very special because we were unbeaten against South African sides, and then only recently we were able to. We were unfortunately lost like 1 or 2 matches, but yeah, I think that was really special.
Cool. Sorry, Marco had a question?
No, I think Leighton covered
So there's Nathan and then Gavin.
Dobbo, Scat, I think you gave Scat an additional year, obviously with Dweebs leaving this season. I mean, what will his role be next year? Obviously, with him being with the Sharks and him coming back. I mean, what's his role? What's his role for next season?
He's a senior contract hooker. We've got two really good youngsters in Kazela and Keegan Blankenberg. So I want Scat to sort of, Joseph was a senior sort of scrumming hooker. We're obviously going to back Amrihuka and JJ, they won URC 1. But then if, I'm not sure, Buppa needs quite a bit of work before he can start a Champions Cup game. So if we're short there or JJ and Amrihuka are injured, I don't think we'd say Buppa and Keegan are quite a Champions Cup level starting. So Scatty we know can handle the scrum there, he's probably the best thrower in the union. He's in good shape. I thought he really moved well tonight. So his job is to cover for the two, so you might say This game, Andre Hugo and Blank and Bupa. But let's say we get a double injury, or we're up in a horrible French away game, and the scrums mean Bupa might be better off coming off the bench. So it's to be a sort of senior pro and to bring through the youngsters. A sort of a carbon copy of what Brocky was doing before we sort of thrust into the forefront with the injuries.
Cool, Gavin.
I've got two questions actually. The first one, just you're talking about guys leaving. I mean, I thought Dave Hughes probably saved his best for last.
Yeah, great, wasn't he?
He was really good today, and obviously Joseph's been really good the last couple of weeks. Just a word on those guys that are leaving. I mean, there was like that sort of justified your decision in a way, because those guys looked like they really played their hearts out tonight.
Yeah, I think they were emotional. I think they're a bit emotional. I think Paul, the way Paul sprinted on the field, Herschel was emotional in the change room now. Ben thinks he's coming back, so he's not too phased. See if he can lost online. No, they all. Yeah, I think they were all good Stormers.
Yeah, no, I think them playing at home made it even special, even more special, because like in front of your family and friends, as always, like I mean, for me it was super special as well, running out in front of family and friends. You tear up a bit because like it could happen any time, and then you're fortunate enough to get it at home.
So Lehman, talking about family and friends, obviously Yaya played, I think he was one of the first guys from Menenberg to play for Western Province, and then Munir as well. JP mentioned it from Bishops, but you're actually from Menenberg Rangers.
Yeah.
Just tell us a bit more about that background.
Yeah, no, I grew up in Menenberg. Obviously, it's not the greatest there. It's gangsterism and all the other bad stuff. But I think for me, being a part of the Stormers and like going through Bishops kind of give a bit of hope to those kids in Menenberg as well. Like to see that there's someone in that field, in that place that used to come from that background and kind of aspire to greater heights. I think that's amazing, and that's what ultimately we need in the community. And I think I'm one of many to come from those communities and be a statue like that. And hopefully I can just carry on and bring hope to the kids from Menenberg, and not just Menenberg, all over. And I think that's a massive thing for us as rugby players as well. Like I'm speaking of myself now, coming from that, but there's so many other guys that's doing this exact same thing.
Yeah. This is relevant for you as well. You spoke about your role. You played on the wing outside centre. Which you prefer actually? I know it's a personal question. Would you actually like playing 13 or wing?
Second time this week.
Like I've said, I prefer 13, but obviously for me at the moment, the team sees me at wing, so I'm happy to cover there because that's what we need, and I'm not afraid to fill that role. And versatility makes me a better player. Like in case we want to go a 6-2 split in the future, I can come off the bench or play as starting player to shift, to be able to shift the backline around. I think it's a coach's dream as well.
Gavin, you had another question?
Yeah, sorry, the second question that I was going to ask Dova was, you know, a lot of people sort of say it doesn't actually matter where you finish because you didn't finish in the top 4 and everything.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking about it earlier this week. I mean, there's only one team other than Leinster that hasn't finished lower than 5th in the 4 years of the RC, and that's you guys.
That's like it.
I mean, you could say, I think the Bulls have been consistent as well because they were 6th, and then they've also played in 2 finals and that, but they haven't won the competition. So I mean, to me, if you've won the competition, I mean, you're almost like the only rivals for Leinster when it comes to that consistency. I mean, how does it feel to you? I mean, it might feel like you slipped back because you were sort of, I think you were 3rd in the first year, which year was it 2nd? I can't remember.
Second.
Anyway, you were in the top 3 in the first 2 years, and the last 2 years you've been in the top 5.
Yeah.
You've been in 5, but both those years where you finished 5th, you've had a lot of catching up to do from November. So, and you've dropped games maybe along the way that could have gone the other way. I mean, am I right in saying that you should be pleased with that consistency? I mean, you do sort of belong in the URC top table in that sense.
Yeah, that was, you did right, Kevin. That was important just I know we were through. I really wanted, for some reason, I knew we couldn't get 4 through our fault, but really wanted to get in the top 5. I really wanted just for exactly the reasons. Been 2 tough seasons, you know, and I think one of the big changes, you know, we knew we couldn't sustain this, we couldn't see off the South African, like Sully referred to the unbeaten local derbies. But you could do the maths there. You know, we weren't going to continue that at all, not with that gap in resource. And so I knew that we get caught there at some stage. You can't go and beat in the double rounds of local derbies anymore. So I knew that But getting the top 5 is, you know, if you think if we're below Bulls, Sharks, Glasgow, Leinster, I'd go and have a look at an income statement and you'll have us to be there. Not income statement, sorry, a cost, expense statement. It's a great achievement. You know, I'm very chuffed that we top 5. Obviously, our goal is to host a quarter, so that's a disappointment. And we threw that away with that. I suppose one other thing. Fuck it, it's a tough thing, competition, because you probably go back to an Ospreys game in the start of the tour.
Yeah.
Then we come to Glasgow. That was a performance without an idea. To lose a home game to Glasgow and well beaten, that was and then that was probably our. I think we're good enough to be in the top 4, despite what I was saying about the budget, and that's going to be our goal for next season.
Cool, all good. Thanks so much, everyone.